Hi, everybody. Today's lesson is going to be on writing a changing perspective narrative. So we have been reading the story The Pinching Man, and we've been doing a close read, which means we are reading more than one time. So far, in our first read, we learned the plot of The Pinching Man, so what happened in the story. In our second read, we made inferences about the Pinching Man's character traits. So we thought, is the Pinching Man a scary person? Is he a clever person? In our third read, we analyzed the text using claim, evidence, and reasoning. Today, we are going to work on our final task for this project, which is to write a letter from the Pinching Man. In order to do this, we're thinking about all of the things that we have learned so far. We are going to think about character traits. What kind of person is the character? We're also going to think about point of view. So what is the Pinching Man's perspective on what happened? And we're also going to think about narrative. We're going to ask ourselves, how do I tell a good story? What details do I need to include? How do I make my writing interesting and engaging for people who read it? The first thing we're going to do is break down the prompt. So this is the question we are answering today. You have read The Pinching Man, which describes the disciplinarian, that's the person who enforces the rules, of a Kenyan village. Imagine that you are the Pinching Man and write a letter from his point of view to Miss Avila at Lincoln Middle School. Be sure to explain who you are and what happened the day you caught a boy leaving his village. So just like always, we need to find the verbs in this prompt, and we also need to find our key terms, what the verbs are telling us to do. So I did the first one for you. I highlighted in blue, read, and in purple or in pink, I did The Pinching Man. So before we do anything else, we need to make sure that we read The Pinching Man. Now I want you to pause the video and try the rest on your own. So there are at least 3 more verbs. You are going to highlight verbs in blue, and in pink, you're going to highlight what the verbs are telling you to do. When you are done, your Summit page should look like this. So the 4 verbs we have are read, imagine, write, and explain. Under the prompt, you should see a question, what do you need to do? The first one is filled in for you. You need to read The Pinching Man. Next, you need to imagine you are the Pinching Man. You are going to write a letter to Miss Avila from his point of view. That means you're writing as if you are the Pinching Man. And finally, you're going to explain who you are and what happened in the story. Before we start writing, we need to have a plan. So let's plan out our letter. Our first question is, whose point of view are you writing from? This is in the prompt. You are going to be the Pinching Man. This means you are writing in first-person point of view using I and me. It also means you're thinking about the Pinching Man's perspective. So we're not thinking, what does the boy think? What do I think? You're thinking, what does the Pinching Man think about this? Next, we're thinking about who we are writing to. In this case, you are writing a letter to Miss Avila. You want to think about what the Pinching Man has in common with Miss Avila and what is different. So for example, both the Pinching Man and Miss Avila are disciplinarians. They both enforce the rules, but the Pinching Man pinches kids on the legs, and Miss Avila will give a detention or put you in ISS. Next, we need to think about what happened in the village with the boy. So for this part, you are going to write in the yellow box and summarize the most important parts of the plot from the pinching man's perspective. So we don't need to think about the parts with just the boy and his mom. We're thinking about what happened when the pinching man found the boy in the woods and what did he do next. So pause your video and answer this question in the yellow box and sum it. Our next question is, what do you, the pinching man, feel about what happened? So again, you're going to pause your video. You're going to type this in part 2 of your checkpoint, and you're going to answer this question. You might want to think about, do you, the pinching man, feel angry or annoyed when the boy runs away? Maybe you feel cheated or outsmarted when the boy's mom covers for him. Or maybe you feel like it's no big deal. You will just get the boy back another day and pinch him harder. Whatever you think as the pinching man, go ahead and write it in the yellow box. Our last question to think about is, what advice do you have for Miss Avila? Should she be more like you? Why or why not? Remember, as you answer this question, you are thinking as the pinching man, not as yourself. So you are no longer a 6th grader at Lincoln Middle School. You are the pinching man. So do you think that Miss Avila should be more like you? Do you think she should start pinching kids? Why or why not? All right, so we have our plan. We've thought deeply about some of the questions we need to answer. And now we're going to put everything together to write our letter. Here are some guidelines for your letter. It should be at least 10 sentences. Your letter should be from the first person perspective of the pinching man. That means you're going to use I or we or me. You are going to explain who you are and what happened to the boy. So make sure you explain what happened in the story. Use the text below to help if you forgot. And the last thing you will do in your letter is give advice from one disciplinarian to another. So as a pinching man, what is your advice for how to discipline children in the community? You'll start your letter, Dear Miss Avila, write the rest in the yellow box, and don't forget to sign your name, the pinching man. When you're done, go ahead and request feedback. We can't wait to see what you come up with. Good luck.